The butterfly effect. This is the idea that small things can have non-linear impacts on a complex system. The concept is imagined with a butterfly flapping its wings and causing a typhoon. Of course, a single act like the butterfly flapping its wings cannot cause a typhoon. I'm Andy, and here is how one football transfer changed the entire future of two football clubs. When Liverpool signed Philippe Coutinho from Barcelona for £8.5 million in January 2013, nobody would have seen just how big the effects would be of this transfer in the years that would come. Before we do carry on, I just want to bring your attention to our podcast, where we discuss the major going-ons in Europe's top domestic leagues, as well as discussing the Champions League, Europa League and Conference League. Here is a clip of our latest episode. But in this situation, you 2-0 up. It's a complete passenger game at that point. We looked nothing like going back in that game. We were so poor. The two goals we conceded were so poor. And it was the second goal especially was like a training ground goal. It was just awful defending. And the game was getting away from us. And he should know that, as most home crowds do, they want to wind up the players. And he is the biggest target because he's got the biggest track record of getting angry and getting sent off. So he should know this. And he's just given into that straight away, and he's taken the bait. And we saw Ferguson do all these years. Alex Ferguson did it with Rafa Benitez, with Kevin Keegan. When both times those things happened, we all knew Ferguson was there, sitting with his glass of red wine in his house, licking his lips, going, "I've got him." And I think this is what's happened with Xhaka. He's given into that bait from Trent, and that really caused the whole thing. And I do believe that if that hadn't happened, it would have certainly been 2-0 at half time, and I think it would have been a game that you would have won, and I think that would have been probably the title-winning win. Coutinho showcased his ability immediately in a Liverpool shirt. In his first start for the club, he scored against Swansea in a 5-0 win at Anfield. He followed this up with 2 assists in a 4-0 away win to Wigan Athletic, setting up goals for Stuart Downing and Luis Suarez inside the first 17 minutes. He would finish his first half season at the club with 3 goals and 7 assists in 13 games. The rest is, as you would say, history, as he went on to record a total of 54 goals and 45 assists in 201 games across 6 seasons. He would have some great individual moments, including a goal against Man City, which almost won Liverpool the league, as well as some fantastic goals. His 2017-18 season was arguably his best in a Liverpool shirt, or at least it was supposed to be, having turned down 3 bids from Barcelona for fees as high as £90.4 million and £104 million in the summer. As well as receiving a transfer request from the player, the club knew he was not going to be there for too long, but it felt like he would stay at least the whole season. To give Coutinho credit, unlike some players in the history of the game, he did not throw his toys out the pram or down tools. In similar fashion to Luka Modric at Tottenham, Coutinho stayed and kept at the same level and even managed to elevate his game. In the summer before, Liverpool signed Mohamed Salah, but fans were only treated 6 months of him playing alongside Coutinho, Sadio Mane and Roberto Firmino. It's harder to find, as a Liverpool fan, a time in our recent history where the attack has looked as good as this one did for those 6 months. In the 20 games that Coutinho did play for Liverpool that season, he recorded 12 goals and 8 assists. He got his move to Barcelona in January 2018, arriving at the Spanish club for a fee of £142 million. This was £105 million up front, which could rise to potentially £142 million with add-ons. 10 days before, Liverpool confirmed the signing of Virgil van Dijk for a then world record transfer fee for a defender, arriving for £75 million. Liverpool tried signing him in the summer, and Van Dijk even handed in a transfer request, but Liverpool waited until they got their guy. Cue the butterfly effect. In just 6 months, Van Dijk was appearing in the Champions League final with Liverpool as they ultimately lost 3-1 to Real Madrid in Kiev, with a certain goalkeeper making the headlines. Meanwhile, Coutinho scored 9 goals and had 7 assists in 22 games for Barcelona in all competitions. All was going well for the Brazilian? Well, in truth, this was as good as it got for Coutinho in Barcelona. The rest of Coutinho's time in Barcelona saw him play a further 84 games, but he would only tally up 16 more goals and 7 more assists. He would go on to have loan spells at Bayern Munich, more on that later, and Aston Villa, but in the 18 months he spent back at Barcelona after his loan spell at Bayern, he had just 5 goals and just 2 assists from 30 games. In total, Coutinho had a goal every 4.5 games and assists every 7.6 games. Not exactly what you pay over £100 million for. Whilst Coutinho was struggling at Barcelona, Liverpool were going from strength to strength. So, Liverpool sold Coutinho for £142 million and bought Van Dijk for £75 million. That left a further £67 million remaining from the sale. What did they do with that money? They broke another world record as they spent the most any club at the time had spent on a goalkeeper, paying Roma £67 million in the summer of 2018 for Alisson Becker. He was the final piece of the jigsaw, and in his first season at the club, he could not have got off to a better start in his Liverpool career. In his first season at Liverpool, Alisson won what would be the first of 2 Premier League Golden Gloves, as well as winning the Champions League in Madrid against Spurs and being part of a team that finished second in the league despite amassing 97 points. In most other seasons, he would have won a Premier League and Champions League double. A miracle at Anfield. Liverpool won the Champions League final against Spurs in not exactly the most exciting game we have ever seen. However, the semi-final win against Barcelona was anything but boring, and this is where the first example of this butterfly effect was there for everyone to see. Liverpool went into the semi-final second leg needing a miracle. After losing 3-0 in the first leg at the Nou Camp, they needed to score at least 3 goals without reply at Anfield. And yes, Ousmane Dembele, you've got a lot to answer for. Liverpool produced the impossible, and through doubles from Jorginho Wijnaldum and Divock Origi, Liverpool progressed to the final. Coutinho started both those games but failed to get a goal or assist in a season where he only got 5 goals in 24 games. When Wijnaldum scored the goal to level the game on aggregate, there was a poignant image of Coutinho, who, along with Luis Suarez, was suffering an almighty collapse against the team they left. In Coutinho's case, just over 12 months before. Whilst one player was struggling for form since an expensive transfer, his replacements were excelling in his absence. What if Coutinho stayed and Liverpool not bought Alisson and Van Dijk with that money? Of course, it's easy to point out at this now and look back with hindsight, but it's incredible just how a couple of transfer moves can cause such a massive difference for the fortunes of 2 clubs. Whilst Coutinho may have won a Champions League with Bayern Munich a season later, it would have been all the sweeter with Liverpool. He was one of the main guys at Liverpool, whereas he was just another guy at Bayern Munich, which brings back the memory of a quote from Jurgen Klopp when, in May 2017, he advised the very same to Coutinho. Stay here and we will end up building a statue in your honour. Go somewhere else, to Barcelona, to Bayern Munich, to Real Madrid, and you will just be another player. Here, you can be something more. And Liverpool's successes have gone on further from just a Champions League win. Liverpool have since won the Club World Cup, ended the 30-year wait for a Premier League trophy, and last season they won an FA Cup and League Cup double and almost won the quadruple. Alisson and Van Dijk have been big parts of this. Alisson is seen by many as the best goalkeeper in the world right now, and Van Dijk, for many years at Liverpool, was seen as the best centre-back in the world. The Netherlands captain may be going through the hardest spell of his career right now, but it can't be forgotten just how much of a colossus he has been for the club. It's safe to say, money well spent for the Reds. Meanwhile, Coutinho had the aforementioned loan spell for Bayern Munich, where he did in fact score 2 goals against Barcelona in a defeat even more embarrassing than their Anfield collapse when they lost 8-2 to Bayern in the semi-final of the tournament in 2019-20. Coutinho was also loaned out to Aston Villa, where he started well but ultimately has dropped off after they made his move permanent in the summer of 2022, with just 1 goal and 0 assists in 20 league appearances. His career is in limbo, and his next steps, no one knows. You can find out more on his decline in the latest video from Visa, who goes through this in more detail. However, the butterfly effect goes beyond just the poor Coutinho transfer, as Barcelona's money issues got worse and worse. Coutinho's move and transfer fee is a product of what still remains the most expensive transfer in football history. Early August 2017, Paris Saint-Germain signed Neymar from Barcelona for €222 million. And this is where Barcelona's financial issues started, with some of the worst recruitment we've ever seen. Along with the previously mentioned money spent on Coutinho, which translated to €135 million, they paid Borussia Dortmund €140 million to sign winger Ousmane Dembele. They spent a further €40 million that summer on Paulinho, €35.7 million on Nelson Semedo, €12.4 million on Yerry Mina, €12 million on Gerard Deulofeu, and €5 million on Fluminense centre-back Marlon, amounting to a total spend of €380.1 million. However, none of these players went on to have great success at the club. Paulinho actually did well in the season he had following his transfer, with 9 goals and 3 assists from midfield in 34 games, but he was back in China after just 1 season with the Catalan club. Dembele has scored 40 goals and had 41 assists in 178 games, but considering the fact he cost so much money and has missed over 115 games with 15 different injury layoffs, this shows how disastrous a signing he has been. This does not end here. The club have gone on to make bad transfer after bad transfer. We all know what went wrong for Coutinho, and to show the financial catastrophe of this transfer, when they sold him, they did so for just €20 million. This is a €115 million loss, which has played a big role in why Barcelona have spent 2 straight seasons playing Europa League football. They spent €41 million on Malcolm in the 2018-19 season, who scored 4 goals in 24 games in his one and only season with the club, although they did get the €40 million back. They spent €35 million on Clement Lenglet, who is currently on loan with Tottenham Hotspur, and they spent €31 million on Arthur Melo, yes Liverpool fans, that Arthur, who they swapped 2 seasons later for a 30-year-old plus Miralem Pjanic. These are not exactly inspiring. The 2019-20 season saw the tipping point of the Barcelona money problems, further compounded by COVID-19, as well as spending €26 million on Neto and Junior Firpo, who are both now playing in a relegation battle for Bournemouth and Leeds respectively. They also spent €86 million on Ajax's Frankie de Jong and €120 million on Atletico's Antoine Griezmann. For de Jong, the jury is still out. However, there can be a strong case made for Griezmann's transfer being one of the worst in the history of the game. After one of the worst days in the club's history in that 4-0 loss to Liverpool, the club were determined to do what they could do to go one step further in the 2019-20 edition of the tournament, with just under €300 million spent on players. For Griezmann, he did not live up to the expectations. This is after 15 goals and 8 assists in his final season with Atletico Madrid prior to the move. He had 35 goals and 17 assists in 102 games for the Catalan club. Not a bad return, but not exactly one you'd expect from such a high fee. In the end, Griezmann spent just 2 seasons at the club before being loaned back out to Atletico. He would join on a permanent deal, but the fee of that permanent deal once again goes to show how bad the financial side of Barcelona has been and their mismanagement. When the 2018 French World Cup winner joined on loan, there was a buyback clause of €40 million as per Eurosport.com, but that was only if Griezmann played at least half the minutes that season. In a clever move from Atletico, Griezmann was only brought on after 60 minutes in each game. In the end, Eurosport.com reported that the deal was, in the end, just €20 million with a further €4 million in add-ons. For a player that demanded such a high fee to last just 2 years, failed to light it up, and then be sold for almost a €100 million loss, this is an all-round catastrophic transfer. In total, Barcelona had highs of £1 billion of debt in a disastrous spell under then club president Josep Maria Bartomeu, issues that eventually led to the sale of club legend Lionel Messi on a free transfer. That's right, a free transfer. There is no further epitome of their money issues that Messi, widely seen as the greatest footballer of all time, was allowed to leave on a free. In truth, no one quite knows how Barcelona managed to spend €158 million in the summer of 2022, and their gamble for now appears to be working, with a La Liga title all but certain. Joan Laporta, who replaced Bartomeu, has said they want to make 4 super signings in the upcoming summer transfer window. Their future is uncertain, and you cannot help but wonder what would have happened if they had not bought Coutinho. Would they have had the same money issues, and would Liverpool have had the same success without the money they used from that sale to buy Alisson and Van Dijk? But that is the end of the video. We hope you all enjoyed this new style of video on our channel. Let us know in the comments your thoughts on this video and if you enjoyed it and what changes you think we could make next time. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. We are aiming to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and by clicking subscribe and the like button, this helps us massively. But for now, until next time.